Hey guys, what is up? My name is Brienne and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing my May TBR list with you guys. Okay guys, so to start this video off, I felt like I should talk about my project book for the month. So usually I will just set aside certain days between each read to work on my project book for the month. And this month I'm doing something slightly different. Yes, I'm still setting aside time between each read to get some work done in my project book, but since I also have almost an entire week at the end of April where I don't have any books planned out, I'm going to take that entire week just to read my project book. And so that is going to be the last week of April and first week of May's read. So that book is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. And I chose this one as my project book because it is 799 pages. Okay, so House of Blood and Earth is the first book in a new series by Sarah J. Maas, and I have not actually read one of her books before. I have a few on my shelf that I do plan to read soon, but I wanted to start with this one because it sounds like a really good sort of urban fantasy, and it has some really good romance that I can see even from just the description. Now, I don't know very much about the book itself, but there seems to be this murder where the main character's friends all are killed. And everyone thinks that they caught the right person, and once they're locked up, the murders start again. So the main character goes and she tries to figure out who did it, like who's done it. And then there's our other main character who is a fallen angel who's enslaved by the archangel. Like, doesn't say an archangel, it's the archangel. And so while he's supposed to be killing his boss's enemies without question, it seems that he's run into a demon and the offer for his freedom is just too irresistible. And so somehow these two meet and they get together and they uncover something where it threatens anyone that they hold dear. I really liked this quote on the inside cover of the book that says, "As Bryce and Hunt dig deep into Crescent City's underbelly, they discover a dark power that threatens everything and everyone they hold dear." So I'm very curious to see what they have as this big bad throughout this story. And I want to see if Sarah J. Maas continues with that one big bad throughout the rest of the series. But for now, I will be reading this one at the end of April and into the beginning of May, and I've also decided to buddy read it with a friend of mine. And so the second book that I plan to read in the month of May is They Both Die in the End by Adam Salvira. So this book is essentially gives away the ending on the cover because yes, they both die at the end. The whole concept of the story is that on your final day of living, you get a call saying that this is the day that you are going to die. You are going to die within less than 24 hours, and that they are sorry for your loss, and that their sympathy extends to your family and everyone who has not gotten the chance to meet you. So the two main characters in this book are Mateo and Rufus, and they both have the same last day. And so there is an app in the book called Last Friend where they pair you up with someone who has the same last day as you, and you can go and do whatever you want with them, and it's to get you to be able to look at your last day in a positive light. And so Mateo and Rufus get paired together and they meet up, and their whole goal is to live a lifetime in a single day. And I really liked the concept of that because it's not something that actually happens in real life, because you don't know when you're gonna die and you don't know when you should live your life to the fullest. So you should always live it to the fullest. And I really would like to see how that is played out in this book and what actually happens, because this is a pretty thick book for just one day. There's got to be so much that happens in so much detail. I'm excited to see where it goes and see what happens and what develops out of it. So, I think my favorite part of the synopsis that the book gives is this bit here at the top before it actually goes into the summary of the book itself. And it reads, "We here at Last Friend Incorporated are collectively sorry for this loss of you. Our deepest sympathies extend to those who love you and those who will never meet you. We hope you find a new friend of value to spend your final hours with today." The third book that I plan to read in the month of May is The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. Please correct me if I said that wrong. I can never pronounce anyone's last names. So, when reading and doing some research on this book, I believe the best way to describe it is a different version of Hocus Pocus. Not the whole cliche, they come back for one night because somebody lit a candle, but the concept of the three sisters being executed for witchcraft in 1822 and them coming back every year, every summer, and embodying three troubled girls to lure men away seems like a very, very solid plot. And from the research that I've done, I know that Penny and Bo are the two main characters, and Penny can see something that others cannot, and she has to choose between saving herself or saving Bo. And the townspeople are going to end up turning against each other, and there's just going to be a whole bunch of drama surrounding the time that these sisters come back. And it's just very unlucky for Bo because he is unaware of what he's getting into, and he's just moved there the eve before the sisters come back. And so I would like to see how this is handled and what exactly happens, because this sounds like a really interesting book, but it has been on my bookshelf since I was a freshman. So it's been on here for almost 3 years, and I don't know if I will end up liking it the same way I thought I would back freshman year, or if I'll enjoy it even more now that I'm older and I've read so many more books. But I will definitely let you guys know, because I don't actually know very much. That's about all I know. So the last book that I want to attempt to read in the month of May is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So all I really know about this book itself is what I know from the show. And the show, I understand, has been completely switched around, and the characters aren't even in the same roles as they are in the book. So the best thing I can do here is just read you guys the back of the book. So first published in 1959, Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House has been hailed as a perfect work of unnerving terror. It is the story of 4 seekers who arrive at a notoriously unfriendly pile called Hill House. Dr. Montague, an occult scholar looking for solid evidence of a haunting; Theodora, his light-hearted assistant; Eleanor, a friendless, fragile young woman well acquainted with poltergeists; and Luke, the future heir of Hill House. At first, their stay seems destined to be merely a chilling encounter with inexplicable phenomena. But Hill House is gathering its power, and soon it will choose one of them to make its own. So, what I know from the show itself is the house is haunted. Yes, it's haunted by its previous family, and all of the stuff that happened there, it kind of just sucked all of the life out of them. And in the show, the family that lives there, it's going back and forth between their present day and when they lived there, leading up to when they left and when Hill House ended up being deserted. And so there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes on in the show, and they touch on a lot of subjects in the show that are really, really prominent in today's society, even though the show itself is supposed to take place, at least the past part is supposed to take place in, I believe, the 80s, 90s maybe. And there's so much that goes on. It is very much a chilling story, and I want to see that brought over into the book. I want to see how they brought that from the book to the show, and I want to see where they got the idea of switching the roles of the characters and who they actually are from the book to the show. I wonder if that's actually going to be something that is obvious from reading it, and I want to see if they do the same thing in the book that they did in the show, from going back and forth from the past to the present, or if that's just something that the show did to bring in even more attention. And I want to see if the plot line stays in one consistent line of time, because the show did not. The show switched from one of the very end scenes to one of the very beginning scenes, and then you don't find out what the actual context for that end scene was until the very end of the show. It's just a thrilling show, and I want to see all of that in the book, and I really hope that Netflix did good by the book, because almost every single time you read a book, it's made into a show, the book is almost always the better pick. So I want to see if Netflix did good by this book. Alright guys, that was it for today's TBR list. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments section below what books you plan to read in May, and if so, what one you're most excited to read.